And welcome, everybody. Let me make sure you're hearing me. All right, that sounds good. So happy, Wednesday to you. July 16th, 2025, Wednesday here. Here we are. I'm glad to see everybody. I'm going to go in and say hello, see who all was here early, and then we'll get started. Please come on, hit the like button as you come in. Let's see. So today we had in Sweet Dude Shibby and Amy extra early. Also, Lisa came in. Matt H. Carla Ann, Nobody Nothing 1717, Dennis McKean, Snoop Sleuth, Ford Pitts, Lisa, Dirty Diana, Low Light Recovery, Mark Ellis, Nicole Watt. You guys were here pretty early. Okay, Nicole Watt, Sean Bianchi, Cherry Pops, Samantha Springman, Dieter, Deb was here. All right, how's everybody doing? Heather Brown here super early. Uh, Quad. Who else we have here? Brenda Mays. Good to see you. Uh, David Rogers. It's a new day. Rebecca Ann, 19. Oh, she's no longer 1965? Okay. Rebecca Ann. Mino Dino. All right, guys. Thanks for chatting it up early on. What else we had here? Dom Mass is in here. What's up, Dom? Old Mort, New Mort, Court of Public Opinion, um, Critter Mama, Granny D, Keith Kellogg, Kate U, um, good to see everybody, Christina, chat filter to all, hit the like, subscribe, become a member. What else we got? Nobody, nothing. Hey, Snoop Sleuth's back here. Okay. Ricardo too. Good to see you, Goddess. Hello, Kay. Hello to you, Miss Pie Crust. Hi, Five Green Acres. Hello. Good to see everybody. Eliana Davidson. How are you? Trial Junkie. How are you? Mm, Melissa. Okay. So good to see everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Just a moment. Wouldn't you know it? I just lost my whole presentation. It just the app crashed and it kicked me out. So now I'm back. And so much for being prepared. Anyway, What was I going to say? Let's see. Today is Wednesday. Hello to you. Uh, well, so I'll be starting over. So we'll take it piece by piece. But let's see. First of all, I wanted to say thanks to everyone who's here. And well, that really threw me for a loop because now I got to decide what I want to re upload first. So let's see. Well, I was going to say that how about we move that to later in the show? So I'll move the sharing of material with you for later in the show. We'll do that a little later. And then we'll do the other thing before that. So let's do, um, well, I'll talk to you because I wanted to say I've been having a hard time with Cosmo. Okay. And, more than anything, it got me to thinking of how pointless all of the anger is between everybody and how people try to ruin each other here. Um, all the hate really doesn't make any sense. And it got me to thinking about my own days. Like, who wants to deal with that kind of hate on a daily basis? You know? And I thought about how I'm not even the person that I used to be. And I almost feel like those of you who've only watched me here, you don't even know the person that I am because I haven't been the person that I am. It's difficult because this drains all the life out of you. Uh, you see it now. You see it now. And I think, wow, is that where we are? Is this what our age gives us? You know, for all the conveniences and advances with technology, is this the price we pay? Um, it's really something that will come together. Uh, I guess ultimately, if I if I back off, I think like, well, how is it that some people feel so territorial or controlling that you have to control a space on the internet? and you will do so by any means necessary. And I thought how people really don't understand what other people are going through. I mean, you never know what other people are going through. And still, people will you'll spread hate and anxiety and shame and all that. Um, so I feel suddenly like cutting it short, or at least cutting that short. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna move on. Let's see. Do I want to do this first or this one? Let's see.
Now at 11, shocking new details in the double murder of an American Idol executive and her husband. The Encino couple found inside their home days after they were killed. And late today, police announcing an arrest. And while that suspected gunman is in custody, there are a lot of unanswered questions tonight, including a motive. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand live at the scene with what we're learning tonight. Jory.
Mark, Robin Kay and her husband bought this $4.5 million home here in Encino just about 2 years ago, but they were already in fear for their safety. About 6 weeks ago, there was an attempted break-in. They sent out letters to the neighbors looking for help to try and organize to keep people safe, and their fears were justified last week when a man broke into their home and shot them both dead. The bodies of the victims, now identified as American Idol music supervisor Robin Kay and her husband, Tom DeLuca, were discovered Monday afternoon in their Encino home.
At the yard of the residence, they observed some signs of trouble. They then breached one of the glass windows, went inside the residence where they found both of the victims deceased who had suffered from multiple gunshot wounds.
The LAPD says their murders took place back on July 10th. They received 2 separate 911 calls that day about a possible burglary.
Armed burglary in progress.
Local resident Tim Pingle drove by and live streamed as police responded. He was shocked to see them leave moments later.
This was a code 3 emergency. Now it's a code 4. No further assistance needed. I wish they would have worked a lot harder to get inside. It was a code 3 call for an armed suspect inside with a gun, and the police didn't really make an attempt to get inside.
The LAPD says they saw no signs of a break-in both on the ground or from a helicopter above and left. Had they entered, they would have found the victims. Instead, their bodies would remain there for 4 days until a friend called 911 and was able to open the gate for officers who made the grisly discovery. They were also able to access security video, which caught the killer on camera hopping a fence and entering the home.
He was there for approximately half an hour. When the homeowners returned back to their residence, a violent struggle ensued.
The LAPD used facial recognition technology and other forensic evidence to identify 22-year-old Encino resident Raymond Budarian as the suspect. He was arrested today without incident. Neighbors here have been left shaken. The suspect. He was arrested today without incident. 2-year-old Encino resident.
I want to back it up for this part again.
A violent struggle ensued.
The LAPD used facial recognition technology and other forensic evidence to identify 22-year-old Encino resident Raymond Budarian as the suspect. He was arrested today without incident. Neighbors here have been left shaken.
We used to think this was one of the last safe neighborhoods. I've seen the crime slowly creeping through the valley.
This is the best neighborhood. Why somebody has so much hate to kill somebody?
Unimaginable. But it just shows you no matter how much protection, security you have here, if they want to get in, they're going to get in.
So the LAPD is now working to see if that incident back in May, that attempted break-in, is connected to this murder. In the meantime, American Idol putting out a statement today saying they are saddened and heartbroken to hear of the murders, saying Robin was loved and respected by everyone she met. Reporting live tonight in Encino, Jory Rand, ABC 7 Eyewitness.
All right, so I wanted to look at that because, I thought when I first saw that, I thought, wow, there's something interesting there. So you got facial recognition software identifying this suspect. And then I also started to think, wow, how does that story sound? So the guy goes in, he's caught on camera, so he's willing to show his face, and he's in there. 2 people come out, or he comes out with 2 people dead, and then, so I wanted to show you this one too. Let's see.
Longtime American Idol music supervisor and her husband were found dead inside their Los Angeles home. I'm talking about Robin Kay and her husband, and this is they post on social media from TMZ as the music supervisor Robin Kay killed in a double homicide. We're learning some new information as Kay and her husband were found dead inside their Encino home after LAPD officers conducted a welfare check. TMZ was on this story from the very beginning, breaking this story of this double homicide. We're joined right now by Branson Quirky there at TMZ. What's the latest? What information can you tell us?
I mean, this whole situation story is such a tragedy and very wild at the same time. What we know right now is law enforcement sources tell us that on Monday, LAPD officers responded to the Encino home of Robin Kay and Thomas DeLuca, and upon arriving to the home, immediately had noticed blood on the entrance. We don't know whether that was the door, the wall, where exactly that blood was seen. We do know that law enforcement officers then broke a window, smashed a window to gain entry, and upon entry, stumbled upon the bodies of Robin Kay and Thomas DeLuca together. Unclear the details on where their bodies were, how they were, how far apart they were at the time. And what we do know, and sources tell us right now officially, that they were shot in the head. They had gunshot wounds to the head and declared dead on the scene. And what's really interesting is that this welfare check, neighbors were told that the family hadn't heard from them in about 4 days. LAPD officers were also called out just a few days beforehand because there was an intruder that neighbors had called on who had jumped over the fence, attempted to gain entry, and was searching around the property and was suspected to be armed as well. So once the LAPD came out, they didn't even see any sign of this person. They had apparently gotten away. A helicopter was over the site as well, and they couldn't find anything. So there really was no reason to expect this.
Yeah, that is so many questions I have at the top of my mind leading up to this, because it's obviously, like you mentioned, a tragedy. And Robin Kay, obviously a very center point to that important show, American Idol, a music supervisor there. We do have a statement from American Idol talking about this, saying, "We are devastated to hear Robin and her dear husband Tom's passing. Robin has been a cornerstone of the Idol family since 2009, was truly loved and respected by all who came in contact with her. Robin will remain in our hearts forever, and we share our deepest sympathy with her family and friends during this difficult time." And like we mentioned, so many questions, but can you tell me more about who Robin was? What did she do as her role there at American Idol? Because that was such a transcendent show, and obviously the music portion of it so very important. Can you tell me more about that?
I mean, being such a big American Idol fan myself growing up, watching the show, a big part of the show in the story, the segments and everything is at times the contestants would meet with the music supervisor, which could have been Robin, meet with a music coach, which was another part of the music team. So Robin Kay, obviously very, very involved in overlooking basically, I mean, the show is music itself. So overlooking those performances, probably a lot of the prep leading up to it, which brings me back to my point just a couple seconds ago, in the fact that the music supervisor is in charge of helping the contestants prep for those live performances. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. I've actually worked on American Idol as a production assistant, just seeing how much work goes into it. I've seen the music people at work. Not specifically Robin Kay, I can't say that, but just seeing what they do and how she was a part of this for more than 15 seasons, this is definitely going to be a hard one for a lot of people to hear.
Yeah, it's so very difficult.
Now, I want you to check out where they go now, because this is where it gets interesting. This is I'm surprised.
Typical. And that show was really, like you mentioned, especially with you, resonated with so many people as everyone was tuning in. They were voting in real time. That really was a part of so many people's upbringing as well. Can you tell me more about her? Does she have any special connections with any artists that you're aware of? You said you didn't really interact with her, but any connections she had with different artists and music in that way?
I mean, I really don't have. I actually just before this looked up about Robin Kay, what she's been involved in, what type of career that she had on American Idol. There's not too many details just yet, but this kind of brings me to my next point, just to speak more about why this happened. That's such the big question right now as well. Was this a targeted incident? Because at first they had been investigating this as a possible robbery, which led to the homicide. But now they're saying, and law enforcement sources are telling us this as well, that the home was not ransacked. Nothing was taken whatsoever. So this person, from what it sounds and looks like, showed up to their home, killed them, and left. So this feels very targeted. Also, one interesting point too is that this home is a rental property that was previously owned by Juice World many, many years ago. So this place kind of has a celebrity connection to it. And apparently this neighborhood does contain celebrities as well. Again, no particular details on that just yet, but we are investigating it right now.
Yeah, and you imagine there's quite a bit of maybe cameras around this just based on
Absolutely.
the notoriety. Any other questions that come to mind when you think of this? Because this is a very dynamic, fluid situation. Obviously, a tragedy, as you mentioned, some of the details that you guys are gathering at TMZ. Any other questions that come to mind right now off the top of your head?
I mean, for me, no particular questions, but just safety, honestly. I live here in Los Angeles, and just going to sleep at night, hearing something like this happening sounds so random, but also so targeted. And I just couldn't even believe it. I mean, just again, living in Los Angeles, hearing this happen sounds like something that would have happened decades ago, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So to hear this happening today, someone just breaking into somebody's home and having this happen, and the fact that nobody heard this happen. Again, nobody heard from them for 4 long days, and that welfare check had to happen. Obviously, neighbors did notice that person getting over the fence there, trying to attempt to access the property. I think that's a very, very important detail right there. I'm sure that's probably exhibit A for the police right now. Who is that person that jumped over that fence? And again, just like you said, there are cameras everywhere. Everybody's got those Ring cameras. And Encino does have some nicer neighborhoods, so you can imagine, and celebrities possibly, so you can imagine there are security cameras, major surveillance type of cameras that are on the houses or just around that area.
Yeah, so many concerns about this because everyone in that business is so interconnected. You'll see what happens. And you mentioned, like you said, with such a seminal figure, with such an important show, American Idol, looking into details of motive and potentially being targeted. All right, Branson, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You're
a targeted.
All right, I'm trying to get it back to this spot so you can hear it again.
She's been involved in, what type of career that she had on American Idol. There's not too many details just yet, but this kind of brings me to my next point, just to speak more about why this happened. That's such the big question right now as well. Was this a targeted incident? Because at first they had been investigating this as a possible robbery, which led to the homicide. But now they're saying, and law enforcement sources are telling us this as well, that the home was not ransacked.
The home was not ransacked.
Nothing was taken.
Nothing was taken
whatsoever. So this
whatsoever,
person, what it sounds and looks like, showed up to their home, killed them, and left. So this
person shows up to the home, puts a bullet in each of their heads, and left.
Feels very targeted. Also, one interesting point too is
feels very targeted.
That this home is a rental property that was previously owned by Juice World.
Right. Anybody having trouble? No trouble? Okay. So, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It seems like a targeted hit. All right. All right. Did Juice World die in that house? Ooh. Only TMZ would say it out loud. All right. Okay, so think about it. What got me about that one? Let me bring that back up.
Many, many years ago. So this.
So check out. He says
more about her. Does she have any
15 years? Okay, check it out.
Special connections with any artist that you're aware of? You said you didn't really interact with her, but any connections she had with different artists and music in that way?
I mean, I really don't have. I actually just before this looked up about Robin Kay, what she's been involved in, what type of career that she had on American Idol. There's not too many details just yet, but this kind of brings me to my next point, just to to speak more about why this happened. That's such the big question right now as well. Was this a targeted incident? Because basically, I mean, the show is music itself. So overlooking those performances, probably a lot of teams. So Robin Kay, obviously very, very involved in overlooking the basically, I mean, the show is music itself. So overlooking those performances, probably a lot of the prep leading up to it, which brings me back to my point just a few minutes, just a couple seconds ago, in the fact that the music supervisor is in charge of helping the contestants prep for those live performances. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. I've actually worked on American Idol as a production assistant, just seeing how much work goes into it. I've seen the music people at work. Not specifically Robin Kay, I can't say that, but just seeing what they do and how she was a part of this for more than 15 seasons, this is definitely going to be a hard one for a lot of people to hear.
All right, yeah, that's what I was getting at. 15 seasons. 15 seasons. Her and her husband catch a targeted hit, single gunshot to the head. All right, Ninja Warrior Assassin says, had my MRI last Thursday. Seems that my tumor is gone. Hallelujah. Thank you, Ninja Warrior Assassin. Now we're so glad to hear that. It's now on to surgery and 6 weeks of radiation. All right, y'all. Let's see. All right, so glad to hear that. Now let's see. All right, so so 15 years or 15 seasons American Idol. I thought that was a bizarre one for today. And then let's see. Now we got something else. And I had to listen to this 2 or 3 times. You understand? Before I understood this one. So check this one out. I have another. Let's see. Oh man, it's of course it's going to take a moment because my platform crashed. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Hold on a minute. There it is.
News starts now with a breaking news alert.
And that breaking news comes out of Warren this noon. In just the last few minutes, we have confirmed from police that they are investigating a double fatal shooting. And you are looking at the scene. This is from Sky 4 right now. Erica Erickson is on the ground. We want to check in with you, Erica. I know that you have learned some new details just in the last few moments.
Yeah, it's a scene that's left neighbors, even police and first responders in quite some shock this afternoon and this morning. Take a look behind me. It's still a heavy police presence here. We're at 10 Mile and Hoover, and it's been like this for the last hour or so. Now, according to one of our sources responding to the home on Joanne Smith Drive, we're told it's believed an elderly woman's daughter called 911 after finding her 74-year-old mother lying on the kitchen floor with a gunshot wound to the head. Now, another woman, according to our sources, also appeared to be elderly, discovered sitting at the kitchen table with her back to the door, a gun resting on her chest, also with a gunshot wound to her head. But the daughter says to investigators that she didn't recognize the second woman. Sources say that second woman is a 76-year-old woman from Fraser. Now, neighbors, even police, again, stunned not only because of the violent, but also because the police say and neighbors say they are rarely out on this street for anything.
We usually don't have no problem around here. You know, everybody get along, you know, and this is the first time ever I've seen something like this jump off. You know, I've been over here almost 20, 25 years.
Now, we just spoke to Warren Police. They say they're investigating both of these these deaths as homicides, and they're working to notify family members right now. We'll of course stay on top of this and speak with them throughout the day. But again, everyone just absolutely stunned to hear of this. They wave to them, they say hi to them, and they just.
Hold on. Did I hit the wrong button? I sure did. All right. Sorry about that. Let's see. Oh, what am I doing? This is the one I want. Oh, man.
Right now to a sad situation in Warren where police are investigating after two women were found shot to death in a home.
It happened around 10:40 this morning. Police were called to Joanne Smith Drive. That's near 10 Mile and Mound Road. And that's where they found two women in their 70s.
7 News Detroit reporter Whitney Burney joins us from that area where she's hearing from friends and neighbors shocked over this heartbreaking scene.
This quiet block has looked a little bit different as police have worked to learn exactly what led up to that shooting. Two women found deceased in a home. Neighbors telling us this scene is unusual at best. As police took over Joanne Smith Drive in Warren on Wednesday,
I'm quite shell-shocked.
Concern and confusion set in for neighbors.
I'm obviously worried about, my neighbor. It doesn't sound like it's anything to worry about in the neighborhood. It sounds like it was some kind of domestic dispute or something.
Police say around 10:40 a.m. they were called to a home just off of Mound and 10 Mile. Inside, they would find two women in their 70s deceased. Investigators say the two women had been shot. While police did not identify the victims, they confirmed one of the women was the homeowner.
This is just unbelievable. I never would expect this from her. I really would never expect this from her. She was not out of sorts.
Joanne Sikora raced to the scene. She says she was good friends with one of the victims living next to her at her previous address for years. She says they've kept in touch and she would often take her shopping and help her around her new home.
It's heartbreaking. She's a sweet little lady, just adorable. I don't understand this, and I don't know who was with her. I feel so bad for the family. She has daughters and she has grandchildren, and I sincerely, my thoughts and prayers are with them all right now. She was a great woman.
Family members of the homeowner who didn't want to go on camera say they came to check on their mother Wednesday after not hearing from her all day Tuesday, which was unusual. And that's when the two women were discovered inside. At this time, it's still unclear what led up to the shooting and what the other victim's relationship is to that homeowner. The investigation is ongoing.
What the hell? What the other victim's relationship is to the homeowner?
I mean, I don't feel particularly scared because I feel like we're in a safe neighborhood, and it sounds like it was something that was in the family. So I don't feel that, but I just, I clearly feel bad for the family, and, and I'm confused as to what happened.
In Warren, Whitney Burney, 7 News Detroit.
Thank you.
So I'm going to let that play again because I tried to conceive and, like what is the picture of what happened here? And the first thing I thought is, oh, well, it could be a murder suicide. So the one old lady shoots the other old lady and then goes have a seat at the table and shoots herself. Um, but then I thought, if there's a third party there, what if there's a younger guy there? He could kill both of them and make it look that way. And I thought, wow, was this really a double homicide? And someone got away. So let me let it play again, and you can hear again how they tell this story. And then I have one more follow up, I believe, maybe not. I don't. Let's see what happens.
All right, now to a sad situation in Warren where police are investigating after two women were found shot to death in a home.
It happened around 10:40 this morning. Police were called to Joanne Smith Drive. That's near 10 Mile and Mound Road. And that's where they found two women in their 70s.
7 News Detroit reporter Whitney Burney joins us from that area.
See, this is poorly done here, too. This is very poorly done. Notice these two ladies here, these are not your two old 70-year-old dead ladies. Okay? So these right here, these were the two ladies they interviewed, the friends of the victim. So, yeah, ignore this. This is really awkward how they did this. Let me start it over.
All right, now to a sad situation in Warren where police are investigating after two women were found shot to death in a home.
It happened around 10:40 this morning. Police were called to Joanne Smith Drive. That's near 10 Mile and Mound Road. And that's where they found two women in their 70s.
7 News Detroit reporter Whitney Burney joins us.
These are not the two women. What are they doing with this editing?
From that area where she's hearing from friends and neighbors shocked over this heartbreaking scene.
This quiet block has looked a little bit different as police have worked to learn exactly what led up to that shooting. Two women found deceased in a home. Neighbors telling us this scene is unusual at best. As police took over Joanne Smith Drive in Warren on Wednesday,
I'm quite shell-shocked.
Concern and confusion set in for neighbors.
I'm obviously worried about
neighbors.
My neighbor. It doesn't sound like it's anything to worry about in the neighborhood. It sounds like it was some kind of domestic dispute or something.
Police say around 10:40 a.m. they were called to a home just off of Mound and 10 Mile. Inside, they would find two women in their 70s deceased. Investigators say the two women had been shot. While police did not identify the victims, they confirmed one of the women was the homeowner.
This is just unbelievable. I never would expect this from her. I really would never expect this from her. She was not out of sorts.
Joanne Sikora raced to the scene. She says she was good friends with one of the victims living next to her at her previous address for years. She says they've kept in touch and she would often take her shopping and help her around her new home.
It's heartbreaking. She's a sweet little lady, just adorable. I don't understand this, and I don't know who was with her. I feel so bad for the family. She has daughters and she has grandchildren, and I sincerely, my thoughts and prayers are with them all right now. She was a great woman.
Family members of the homeowner who didn't want to go on camera say they came to check on their mother Wednesday after not hearing from her all day Tuesday, which was unusual. And that's when the two women were discovered inside. At this time, it's still unclear what led up to the shooting and what the other victim's relationship is to that homeowner. The investigation is ongoing.
I mean, I don't feel particularly scared because I feel like we're in a safe neighborhood, and it sounds like it was something that was in the family. So I don't feel that, but I just, I clearly feel bad for the family, and, and I'm confused as to what happened.
In Warren, Whitney Burney, 7 News.
So who is this old lady with the gun on her chest? Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, there was one more story today. Now this one is actually good. Let me see. I'll do it this way. Let's say all right, let's see. Okay, you guys, I'm going to read to you a little something, and then I'll play something for you. Um, it says federal authorities today have charged 3 Louisiana police chiefs with taking bribes in exchange for filing false police reports, allowing non-citizens to seek a visa that allows certain crime victims to stay in the U.S. The false police reports would indicate that the immigrant was a victim of a crime, which would qualify them for a so-called U visa, U.S. Attorney Alexander Van Hook said Wednesday. He said police officials were paid $5,000 for each name they provided false reports for. And there were hundreds of names. Once again, he said police officials were paid $5,000 each for each name they provided false reports for, and there were hundreds. There had been an unusual concentration of armed robberies of people who were not from Louisiana, Van Hook said, noting that 2 other people were also charged in this scheme. In fact, the armed robberies discussed never even took place. Earlier this month, a federal grand jury returned a 62-count indictment charging the 5 defendants with crimes, including conspiracy to commit visa fraud, bribery, mail fraud, and money laundering. Okay, sounds to me like they use some AI-based statistical analysis program to take a look at the so-called police reports and violent crimes and robberies, and cross-reference them with these visa applications, and I would be willing to bet that the AI program identified that there was an anomaly or a hot zone, and so then they went and they looked closer. But it says those charged are Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon, and former Glenmora Police Chief Tebow Oniche. Michael Freck Slaney, a marshal in Oakdale, and Chandra Kant Patel, an Oakdale businessman. If convicted, the defendants could face years or even decades of jail time. According to investigators, people seeking these visas would reach out to Oakdale businessman Patel, contract with him for thousands and thousands of dollars to then hand to the police, who would put together these falsified reports collectively and then hand them back. And these visa applications would go through, and you would be awarded with the visa. So it's basically a pay-to-play scheme for visas. Getting a U visa can give some crime victims and their families a legitimate pathway to U.S. citizenship. About 10,000 people got them in the 12-month period that ended on September 30th, 2022. Okay, which is the most recent period for which the Homeland Security Department has data published. This scheme has gone on for nearly a decade. Those special visas were created by Congress in 2010 and are specifically designed for victims of certain crimes who have suffered mental or physical abuse and are helpful to law enforcement or government officials in the investigation or prosecution of criminal activity. These visas are designed to help law enforcement and prosecutors prosecute crimes where you need the victim or witness there. In other words, if you need a victim or a witness who happens to not be a citizen to be part of your prosecution, you hand them this U visa. So this was the scheme here. At least 2 police chiefs have been arrested as of Wednesday. Lester Duhay, a spokesperson for the Louisiana Attorney General's office, said that the office was assisting federal agents with court-authorized activities. The current or former police chiefs are from small central Louisiana municipalities that are near each other. Um, Although Louisiana doesn't share a border with a foreign country, there are 9 ICE detention facilities in the state. Local news outlets reported seeing ICE and FBI agents entering the home of the 2 chiefs. Van Hook said authorities searched multiple police departments and the Subway sandwich shop that Patel owned. Van Hook and others said at the news conference that the arrests do not mean the indicted chiefs' departments entirely are corrupt, only that the chiefs are corrupt. Um, in 2021, the USCIS warned that the U visa program was susceptible to fraud after an audit from the OIG found that administrators hadn't addressed deficiencies in their processes. The audit found that USCIS approved a handful of suspicious law enforcement signatures that were not cross referenced with a database of authorized signatures. According to the OIG report, they were also not closely tracking fraud case outcomes, the total number of U visas granted per year, and were not effectively managing the backlog, which led to crime victims waiting for nearly 10 years before receiving a U visa in some instances. Okay, so anyhow, uh, that's what I want to take a look at now. Okay. Check this out. Let's see. Here we go.
Communities safer. Special agent.
Sorry. All right, now we're ready.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Alec Van Hook, and I'm the acting U.S. Attorney here in the Western District of Louisiana. Got a lot of excellent law enforcement partners in the room today. Just want to acknowledge some of them that are joining me here up front, and I'm not going to try to introduce you to everyone, and a lot of these people are familiar to you already anyway. So we have Homeland Security Special Agent in Charge Eric DeLong, Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent in Charge Jonathan Tapp, Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Special Agent in Charge Demetrius Hardiman. I'd also like to thank our local partners that are here. We have the Superintendent of Louisiana State Police, Colonel Robert Hodges, and the Rapides Parish Sheriff Mark Wood. All of us are here today. And this case has been a culmination of kind of joint law enforcement efforts throughout South Louisiana as part of our Homeland Security Task Force, which is also part of Operation Take Back America, where federal law enforcement really works together closely with our state and local partners to try to make our communities safer places to live. So we're here today to provide you with some information about an indictment that was returned and some related law enforcement activity that took place yesterday. On July 2nd, a federal grand jury in Shreveport returned a 62-count indictment charging 5 individuals, including law enforcement officers and a business leader in central Louisiana, with conspiracy, immigration fraud, robbery, mail fraud, and money laundering offenses. Those charged in the indictment are Chandrakant Patel of Oakdale, Chad Doyle, Chief of Police of the City of Oakdale, Michael Slaney, the Marshal for Ward 5 Marshal Office in Oakdale, Glenn Dixon, the former Chief of Police of Forest Hill, and Tebow Oisha, the former Chief of Police for the City of Glamora. In connection with these charges, these individuals were arrested yesterday by federal law enforcement agents, and agents executed search warrants at multiple locations throughout central and south central Louisiana, to include the Oakdale Police Department, the Forest Hill Police Department, and a subway.
Is something wrong with the audio? Well, you guys put your earbuds in or something. I don't know. Something must be wrong with the download, but I heard it just fine earlier today. So apologize for that. I can't do anything about it now. Let's see. Is it better later?
Indictments announced today.
No, what happened?
And we'll get in.
Let me try it again. I'll remove it. Let's see. Wow, sorry about that. Okay, let's try it again. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, just a moment. I have to try it again. Let's see. Can't have that. It's worth it. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna go with. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, must have been some glitch. Okay. Now let's try it. Let's see. We're gonna go with upload. That's it. That's it. Okay. Let's do it.
Way. So we have Homeland Security Special Agent in Charge, Eric DeLong. Law enforcement really works together closely with our state and local partners to try to make our communities safer places to live. So we're here today to provide you with some information about.
Is this going to be a disaster? All right, let me try this. Let's see. All right. And we'll try it again. Let's see. Let's see. Check. Check, check.
An indictment that was returned and some related law enforcement activity that took place yesterday. On July 2nd, a federal grand jury in Shreveport
Uh, You know what's funny is no matter what, I can't find one without audio problems. Okay, so
Returned a 62 count indictment charging 5 individuals, including law enforcement officers and a business leader in central Louisiana, with conspiracy, immigration fraud, robbery, mail fraud, and money laundering offenses. Those charged in the indictment are Chandrakant Patel of Oakdale, Chad Doyle, Chief of Police of the City of Oakdale, Michael Slaney, the Marshal for Ward 5 Marshal Office in Oakdale, Glenn Dixon, the former Chief of Police of Forest Hill, and Tebow Oisha, the former Chief of Police for the City of Glamora. In connection with these charges, these individuals were arrested yesterday by federal law enforcement agents, and agents executed search warrants at multiple locations throughout central and south central Louisiana, to include the Oakdale Police Department, the Forest Hill Police Department, and a Subway sandwich store in Oakdale that was operated by Mr. Patel. The indictment, which we'll give you all copies of in a few minutes, alleges that beginning sometime in 2015 and continuing until July of this year, the defendants conspired to commit visa fraud. Specifically, the indictment alleges that the defendants fraudulently obtained or assisted in obtaining non-immigrant U visas. A non-immigrant U visa is a visa.
all right, I'm done. It's making me angry over here because it sounds just fine on my end, but it's something to do with the platform here. So I'll just read to you some things, and unfortunately, I'm giving up on that. And it sucks because it's a good press conference. Actually, let me see if I can give you the link for that. I'll just pop the link in the chat. Let's see. Okay, I'll do it that way. Let's see. All right. Anyhow, let's see. Let me read this one. It says a group. No, it says Louisiana police chiefs among those arrested and accused in a bribery scheme to help foreign nationals get visas. A group of current and a former Louisiana police chief and the operator of a Subway sandwich shop are accused of colluding in a decade-long scheme to falsify police reports to help foreign nationals get visas meant for crime victims or witnesses. A federal grand jury returned a 62-count indictment charging 2 police chiefs, a former police chief, a marshal, and a restaurant operator on charges including bribery, mail fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, and immigration fraud, a federal prosecutor said Wednesday. The scheme focused on getting U visas, which allow foreign nationals without any official status in the U.S. to stay in the country in certain circumstances when they're victims of or witnesses to a crime. U visas are important in helping law enforcement solve cases, but the U.S. limits the number of U visas that can be issued, and fraudulent applications can prevent legitimate crime victims or witnesses from getting a visa. The store operator allegedly paid $5,000 to officers to create false police reports claiming dozens of people were the victims of crimes. The collusion allegedly took place from December 2015 to July 2025, the prosecutor's office said. The defendants and charges include Subway sandwich store operator Chandrakant Patel of Oakdale, Louisiana, who is charged with bribery, mail fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit visa fraud. Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, who is charged with fraud, mail fraud, money laundering, visa fraud, and conspiracy to commit. Michael Slaney, a marshal in Oakdale who is charged with visa fraud, mail fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit visa fraud. And Police Chief Glenn Dixon of Forest Hill, Louisiana, who is charged with visa fraud, mail fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit visa fraud. You know what's funny? In there, I didn't hear a single thing about falsifying police reports. It's as if, oh, that's okay. And Thibaut Onishe, a former police chief of Glen Mora, Louisiana, who is charged with visa fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy to commit visa fraud. If convicted, the defendants each face up to 5 years in prison on the conspiracy charge, up to 10 years on the visa fraud charges, and up to 20 years on the mail fraud charge. If convicted of bribery, Patel faces up to 10 years in prison. In addition, they could be ordered to pay a fine of up to $250,000 each. On each count, the prosecutor's office said. It's not immediately clear if the defendants have legal representation or when they're due in court. The armed robberies never took place. Authorities noticed a large number of armed robberies of people that were not from Louisiana and in some of our smaller communities in Louisiana, and defendants were alleging that those people were victims of armed robberies. In fact, the armed robberies never took place, Van Hook said, and those listed in the applications were never victims of a crime. Instead, these people would pay Mr. Patel, who would in turn pay Doyle, Slaney, Dixon, and Onishe to create false police reports so that the fraudulent visa applications could be submitted to the United States government. Patel himself was granted a U visa in 2023 based on his alleged status as a victim of an armed robbery, according to a 21-page indictment filed in federal court this month. The indictment also lists the first initials and last names of 24 alleged victims, all of whom have the surname Patel. What? The indictment also lists the first initials and last names of 24 alleged victims, all of whom have the surname Patel. It was not immediately clear if any of those foreign nationals are related to the Subway store owner. There are hundreds of names. Almost 200 law enforcement officers executed 11 search warrants Tuesday. Again, let me rephrase that or repeat it. Almost 200 law enforcement officers executed 11 search warrants Tuesday, that's yesterday, as part of this investigation. Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent in Charge, Eric DeLon, said 2 of the police chiefs were arrested while attending a conference in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Tuesday. Van Hook said it's possible hundreds of visa applicants might be involved, and the investigation isn't over. This is a very, very significant case. It's not 2 or 3 people. There are hundreds of names, and we've gotten into more of those as the case unwinds in court, the prosecutor said. When I'm saying hundreds of names, those are the visas that were approved. Okay. What else was I going to read for you? Let's see. Federal authorities arrested 3 current and former police chiefs in Louisiana for allegedly selling fake police reports to immigrants seeking visas. The defendants allegedly charged $5,000 per person to create false armed robbery police reports that immigrants could then use to apply for special U.S. visas, according to Acting U.S. Attorney Alec Van Hook of Louisiana's Western District. Chandrakant Patel of Oakdale faced the most charges, including conspiracy, bribery, 24 counts of mail fraud, and 8 counts of money laundering. Prosecutors identified him as the scheme's central figure. Current Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle and Ward 5 Marshal Michael Freck Slaney were each charged with conspiracy, 6 counts of visa fraud, and 6 counts of mail fraud. Doyle faces 1 count of money laundering, while Slaney faces 2. Former Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon faces identical charges to Doyle, while Glen Mora Police Chief Tabo Onishe was charged with conspiracy, 6 counts of visa fraud, and 6 counts of mail fraud. Oakdale officials released a statement Tuesday after the officers were arrested saying, quote, "The city is taking this matter very seriously. We understand the seriousness of the situation and are committed to a full cooperation with the appropriate authorities. The city is taking this matter very seriously and will act in accordance with the law and within the best interest of our community." The scheme allegedly ran from 2015 until 2025, prosecutors said. The group allegedly created fake reports showing immigrants as victims of armed robberies that never happened, allowing them to apply for U.S. visas. These U visas are special visas that let crime victims stay in the U.S. while the cases are being prosecuted. There was an unusual concentration of armed robberies. A large number of people not from Louisiana were included. In fact, the armed robberies never took place. Authorities said Patel collected money from immigrants and paid the officers $5,000 for each person listed on a false police report. The U visa program allows both crime victims and their family members to remain in the U.S., making each false report's impact far reaching. Once again, the U visa program allows both the crime victim and their family to remain in the U.S. So both the victim of the crime and the entire family can remain in the U.S., making each false report's impact very far reaching. All 5 were charged with conspiracy and mail fraud. Patel, who authorities identified as the scheme's central figure, was the only one charged with bribery. 4 of the law enforcement officers also face fraud charges. All except Onishe face additional counts of money laundering. If found guilty, each defendant could spend decades behind bars. According to the U.S. Attorney's Western District of Louisiana Attorney's Office, they could each face up to 5 years for conspiracy, 10 years for visa fraud, and 20 years for each count of mail fraud. Patel faces an additional 10 years for the bribery charge. Van Hook emphasized that these were allegations against the individual officers, not the entire departments. "We are not alleging that these are corrupt police departments," he said. The investigation involved multiple agencies, including Homeland Security Investigations, the FBI, the IRS Criminal Investigation Department, and the Louisiana State Police and the local sheriff's office. And then I have this here. Let's do this. We're going to take this and we're going to, let's say, okay. Let's do this here. Ooh, boom. Okay, how's that? All right, let's read it. It says, law enforcement officers and Louisiana business owner indicted on charges of bribery, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, and mail fraud. This is the U.S. Attorney's Office, Western District of Louisiana. It says, acting U.S. Attorney Alexander Van Hook, Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent in charge Eric DeLon, Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent in charge Jonathan Tapp, and Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Special Agent in charge Demetrius Hardiman announced that a federal grand jury in the Western District of Louisiana has returned an indictment charging 5 individuals, including law enforcement officers in there, and a Central Louisiana business owner with conspiracy and fraud charges. Those charged in the indictment and a list of their charges are as follows. Chandrakant Patel, aka Lala, of Oakdale, LA, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, 1 count, bribery, 1 count, mail fraud, 24 counts, money laundering, 8 counts. Chad Doyle, police chief for the city of Oakdale, LA, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, 1 count, visa fraud, 6 counts, mail fraud, 6 counts, money laundering, 1 count. Michael Slaney, aka Freck, marshal of the Ward 5 Marshal's Office in Oakdale, Louisiana, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, 1 count, visa fraud, 6 counts, mail fraud, 6 counts, money laundering, 2 counts. Glenn Dixon, chief of police for the city of Forest Hill, Louisiana, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, 1 count, visa fraud, 6 counts, mail fraud, 6 counts, money laundering, 1 count. And Tabo Onishe, former police chief for the city of Glenmora, Louisiana, conspiracy to commit visa fraud, 1 count, visa fraud, 6 counts, mail fraud, 6 counts. The 62-count indictment alleges that from on or about December 26, 2015, and continuing until at least July 15, 2025, Patel, Doyle, Slaney, Dixon, and Onishe conspired together to commit visa fraud, namely a non-immigrant U visa, which defendants knew to be procured by means of false claims and statements and otherwise procured by fraud and unlawfully obtained by the defendants. The indictment alleges that Patel, Doyle, Slaney, Dixon, Onishe, and others authored, facilitated, produced, and authenticated false police reports in several central Louisiana parishes. See, this was widespread. Each report listed several victims of purported armed robberies in the central Louisiana area. And the defendants produced false police reports so that the purported victims of the robberies could apply for U visas. Again, where are the charges for producing false police reports? Congress created the U non-immigrant status, U visa, with the passage of the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act in October 2000. Ain't that a bitch? So these corrupt pigs are taking advantage of the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act. What a great way. So your corrupt cops. So imagine this. Let's put it into perspective, okay? So your corrupt cops and business owners collude together, exploiting the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act, which is legislation intended to strengthen the ability of law enforcement agencies to investigate and prosecute crime while also protecting victims of crimes, victims of trafficking and violence, who are willing to help law enforcement authorities in the investigation or prosecution of criminal activity. So you're telling me the cops figured out how to make $5,000 a pop with these fake reports in order to abuse this system that's designed to protect victims of human trafficking and violence? Foreign nationals are eligible for U visas if they meet certain criteria, including but not limited to if they were a victim of a qualifying criminal activity that occurred in or violated laws of the U.S. or possessed information about the criminal activity. Qualifying crime victims could apply for U visa status by submitting a U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Form 1 or I-918 petition for U non-immigrant status. A Form I-918 Supplement B, U non-immigrant status certification, I-918B, requires signature of an authorized official of a certifying law enforcement agency confirmation that the individual was a victim of a qualifying crime and evidence to establish each eligibility requirement. The indictment alleges that as part of this conspiracy to defraud, individuals seeking U visas, aliens, would contact Patel or another facilitator who would then contact Patel to be named as victims in police reports alleging that an armed robbery had occurred so that they could submit applications for U visas. The indictment also alleges that aliens paid Patel thousands of dollars to participate, and that in exchange, Patel would ask his co-conspirators, including the police officers, police chiefs Doyle, Slaney, Dixon, and Onashe, to write false police reports naming the aliens as victims of alleged armed robberies and provide certification and attestation of U visa I-918B supporting documents as representatives of their respective law enforcement agencies. It's also alleged in the indictment that Patel did corruptly offer, and agree to pay an agent of the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office the sum of $5,000 on February 18, 2025, intending to influence and reward said agent in exchange for a fraudulent police report from the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office. Again, in exchange for a fraudulent $5,000 in exchange for a fraudulent police report from the Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office. The indictment further alleges that from approximately September 27, 2023 until December 26, 2024, Doyle, Slaney, Dixon, and Onashe did knowingly submit false statements with respect to material facts in immigration applications by signing forms 1-918B as certifying officials stating that individuals were cooperating victims of crimes, which statements the defendants knew to be false and that the individuals were never victims of crimes alleged in the I-918B forms. In addition, the indictment alleges that for the purpose of executing the above described scheme and artifice to defraud, Patel, Doyle, Slaney, Dixon, and Onashe did commit mail fraud by knowingly placing or causing to be placed in an authorized depository for mail matter to be sent and delivered by the U.S. Postal Service, a private interstate carrier or commercial interstate carrier, false form I-918B Bs created and submitted to USCIS. Also included in the indictment are money laundering charges and forfeiture allegations against each defendant seeking forfeiture of various bank accounts, real property, and vehicles. If convicted, the defendants each face a sentence of up to 5 years in prison on the conspiracy charge, up to 10 years on visa fraud charges, up to 20 years on the mail fraud charge, and Patel faces up to 10 years on the bribery charge. In addition, they could be ordered to pay a fine of up to $250,000 on each count. So let's look at this. Look, up to 20 years on the mail fraud charge. Well, let's go back up here. How many mail fraud charges do we see? This police chief has this marshal has 6 counts of mail fraud. So that's potentially 120 years, right? Is it? Am I counting right? 20 years for each? Yeah. This police chief, potential 120 years. Okay. Same, 6 here for this police chief. But this poor guy here, the Patel, 24 counts of mail fraud. How many years? Is that, almost 500 years potentially? But let's continue. Let's see, where am I? This case is being investigated and prosecuted by the Homeland Security Task Force as part of Operation Take Back America, HSTFs, which were established by President Trump in Executive Order 14159, protecting the American people against invasion, are joint operations led by the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security. Operation Take Back America is a nationwide federal initiative that marshals the full resources of the Department of Justice to repel the invasion of illegal immigration, achieve the total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations, and protect our communities from the perpetrators of violent crime. Operation Take Back America streamlines efforts and resources from the department's organized crime drug enforcement task forces and Project Safe Neighbors or neighborhoods. This case is being investigated by the Homeland Security Investigations, a division of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation, and the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Fraud Detection and National Security Division, and is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorneys John W. Nickel and Danny Seifker. Okay, and here attached is an indictment here. It's 21 pages. We're not going to go through it. Anyway, I meant to have you hear that press conference yourself, so I didn't have to kill my voice reading it. But interesting, huh? Interesting that in any place they look, they're finding crimes, fraud, and corruption, right? It just so happens that they're looking at these visa processes right now, and what it's shining a light on is not so much the concern is not so much the illegal immigrants. The concern are the police chiefs who are taking $5,000. They're basically selling police reports and signatures for $5,000 each. And it's interesting there that a couple things that I find interesting. First, it's interesting that it's all of the police chiefs who are the ones collecting the $5,000 payoffs. Okay, the police like the buck stops here. You know, police chiefs are like, no, give it to me, give it to me, give me the money. Okay. And it's also interesting that this Fed who made the press conference, he made sure to say it doesn't mean the department's corrupt. It just means the individual who is charged is corrupt. So I guess, yeah, if we're supposed to believe that the police chiefs are the only corrupt ones and their subordinates are not, what are the odds of that? And how much do you want to bet? Anywhere you look, okay, any county, any part of the state you look, you're going to find similar. Like I said, it's not that these are the only ones that have come to the surface. It's just that they're looking at this immigration angle. And sure enough, right there in that immigration angle, abusing the what was it called again? Let's bring that back. Let's bring that back. Okay. Okay. Well, here, we can see it here. All right. Let me bring this back. You see here from the indictment here? It says, Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act. They're using, in other words, your police chiefs, your marshals, your higher ups in law enforcement locally are using the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act in order to grift or skim or exploit the visa process and do a pay-to-play scheme. Okay? Yeah, wow. But it's all laid out here. I read this earlier. It's It's specifically laid out. Okay, maybe we should do this on another show at some point. But it's pretty well done. Like of course, federal indictment. It's pretty well done. Okay, it's pretty well done. It's all laid out there, so you can go and read this. It's attached to this here. All right, that's your justice.gov press releases. All right. Yeah. Hey, no, that's a good question. I want to know if they ever prosecuted anyone for these fake crimes. Are you telling me that they're going to take all of these crimes, hundreds? So you're going to take hundreds of alleged robberies and not have anybody ever caught or looked at? I mean, how many people were here's a good question. Thank you, Heavy Metal. A good question here. How many people were harassed as a result of these fake police reports? So you have fake armed robberies. How many doors did they go knock on and harass people who had nothing to do with crimes that never happened? But how many search warrants were served? And how many people were detained and cuffed in front of their kids and families while you execute search warrants for crimes that never happened because your chiefs of police sold police reports? Hundreds. But according to the Troll Farm, okay, y'all, according to Troll Farm 1.0, this never happens. There are never corrupt cops, especially not in small towns. Right? Especially. Let's do a little deep dive, okay? Let's do this. The prof will be annoying right now. What was the name of that one town? Okay. Let's search this. Oakdale, Louisiana. Let's take a look at the population of Oakdale, Louisiana. Let's see. Population of Oakdale, Louisiana, 6,437. Okay, 6,000. And what's the other Forest Hill? Okay, let's do that. Let's take a look at Forest Hill. Okay. Forest Hill, Louisiana. Population of Forest Hill, Louisiana, 604. 604. Population 604. Okay, and let's search Glen Mora. Glen Mora, Louisiana. Population 1,046 population. So you're telling me 6,000, 1,600. What is the population of Delphi and Flora again? Oh, I don't know. Let's be thorough. Let's type this in. Flora, Indiana. Flora, Indiana. Population 2,101. Okay. Delphi, Indiana. Population 2,997. Sounds like just about smack dab in the middle of what we're talking about. So Troll Farm wants us to believe. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. Tobe Lesenby. Yes. Tony Liggett. Yeah. No, there's no corruption in Delphi. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You guys are conspiracy theorists. Do you realize what it would take? Do you realize what it would take to pull off a scheme like this with the railroading of Richard Allen and the cover up of a double homicide 8 years ago? Do you remember? Do you realize the type of effort that would take? Yeah, I do actually. It would take about the same amount of effort that you have here. Let's see. What is it again? Oh Lord, I've lost my spot. Yeah, what is it again? Let's see. You got a business owner, you got a chief of police, you got another chief of police, you got a marshal of the marshal's office, you got another chief of police, a former's chief of police. Yeah, I'd say about a handful of corrupt chiefs and higher ups in such a place, in a trio of extremely small towns like Delphi, Florida, and Lafayette. I realize exactly what it would take. I also realize what it might take in the online cover up. Like having a bunch of YouTubers, a couple journalists, a couple lawyers. Let's see. You got a couple police chiefs, a couple business owners, a couple journalists, a couple YouTubers, a couple lawyers. I understand exactly what it would take. And hey, that leads us right into our next thing here. So I'd like everyone, I forgot to do my goal tonight. First of all, let me start the goal. Okay, guys, please, I'm only putting 10 up. Okay, I'm putting 10 up. I'm doing a goal, and I'm going to go with, whoops. And I'm putting a goal up. Please support the channel with super chats. Scrolling here, I have the Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee. Support the channel, hit the thumbs up. If you're on the replay, hit the likes. And also, I don't know if Amy could post, if she's still here, my Substack. Please go and subscribe. Become a subscriber at the Substack. More than anything, that's what I'd like you to do. To hit the thumbs up and then go subscribe at the Substack, okay? I think the Substack is where I'm going to be doing most of my activity on into the future. Not to say that I won't be here, but I'm going to make a big effort to be mostly present at Substack. Okay. So, speaking of that, it leads us to our next thing now. The Substack is called Read the Prof. Amy just posted it. Please go to Read the Prof. Let's see. There you go. Substack at Read the Prof is, I believe, how you would get there. One way to get there. So let's see. Let's pull this up. All right. So while you're going there, you can read along with me if you go there now. Why honesty is so critical in true crime circles. Thank you, Rebecca Ann. Thanks for supporting the channel every night. You always do. Thank you very much. All right, now let's see. Let's read it. Why honesty is so critical in true crime circles. I want a cupcake. All right, let's see. Trust. Whether someone is reporting through a podcast, documentary, or internet article, their relationship with the greater audience and their own diehard fans ultimately depends on trust. Long-term reputation matters. A content creator who builds trust through transparency, honesty, and accuracy will earn a long-standing and loyal audience. One who gets caught inserting themselves into cases, berating others, using their sexuality to achieve their ends, or distorting facts can permanently lose credibility. Fact-based reporting allows for informed interpretation. Trustworthy reporting gives the public tools to engage critically, discuss justice reform, and understand systemic issues. Transparency and integrity is key in this arena. Altruism. True crime coverage can have value far beyond entertainment. It can impact real world safety, policy, and justice outcomes. Raising awareness about real threats, honest coverage of crimes like catfishing, murder, cyberbullying, stalking, domestic violence, or serial offenders can alert the public and lead to preventative actions. Uncovering systemic failures. Accurate, honest reporting has revealed patterns of police negligence, racial and socioeconomic bias, and systemic corruption. But for these positive outcomes to occur, the information shared must be verified, truthful, and very responsibly framed. Misleading narratives can promote fear, distraction, bullying, scapegoating, or misinformation. That's something that plagues Delphi. Responsibility. In true crime stories, suspects and convicted criminals are often discussed in public, even if they haven't been found guilty or if new evidence emerges later. Acknowledging legal nuance. Many true crime cases involve appeals, unresolved questions, or complex legal context. Sounds like Delphi. Oversimplifying or omitting aspects of this process distorts the truth and can create a false sense of justice, injustice, or closure. Promotes fairness and justice. Ethical true crime coverage ensures that even those accused of horrific crimes are treated with fairness. Justice systems are ideally built on evidence, not only on public opinion. Respect. True crime stories revolve around real events. For families and close friends of the victims, these aren't just stories, they're ongoing, lived tragedies. Honesty honors their experience. Misrepresenting events, exaggerating details, or including wild speculation presented as fact can distort the victim's story and diminish the gravity of their story. Humanizes the victims. True crime should not turn victims into plot devices. Honest reporting that includes respect makes sure that they are portrayed as full human beings, not just a headline or a statistic. Ethics. True crime reporting often brushes up against the justice system, which means journalists, podcasters, and documentarians have a duty to report accurately and ethically. Preventing interference with investigations. False information, inserting oneself, or interfering with potential suspects or witnesses can damage ongoing cases, hinder police work, etc. Following journalistic ethics. Credible true crime work should follow tried and true principles like fact checking, perspective balance, and personal accountability. Let me read that again for those in the back. Credible true crime work should follow tried and true principles like fact checking, perspective balance, and personal accountability. Deviating from these for entertainment value can have serious and long lasting consequences. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you very much. Moral integrity. Finally, there's the personal and moral obligation of the true crime creator. Upholding integrity. True crime creators have unique access to sensitive stories. With that access comes the duty to report with care, empathy, and honesty without subterfuge. being accountable. Good storytellers admit mistakes, Good storytellers admit mistakes, correct errors, and value truth over narrative drama. They also operate with transparency and not through deceit. That kind of integrity is essential in a genre that walks such a fine ethical line. True crime is powerful. It can inform, inspire justice, and spark meaningful conversations. It's more than just entertainment. It holds the power to educate, raise awareness, and even contribute to justice. Honest coverage can shine a light on the systemic failures in law enforcement, wrongful convictions, and the often overlooked experiences of marginalized victims. It can help the public better understand criminal behavior, legal processes, and the human impact of crime and violence. In some cases, it can even prompt new leads in cold cases or inspire meaningful policy changes. But these positive outcomes are only possible when the information presented is accurate, well researched, and responsibly conveyed. By being personally honest, true crime creators not only protect those involved, but also elevate the genre into something that serves the public good. The potential harm caused by dishonest, selfish, or careless storytelling in this genre is immense. When creators sensationalize or distort facts for clout, revenge, or dramatic effect, they risk traumatizing victims' families, misrepresenting the accused, victimizing additional people, and misleading the public. Sounds like Delphi. Again, let me read that one again. That is Delphi. When creators sensationalize or distort the facts for clout, revenge, or dramatic effect, they risk traumatizing victims' families, misrepresenting the accused, victimizing additional people, and misleading the public, which happens every day in Delphi. False or exaggerated or unvetted information can influence public perception in ways that may interfere with ongoing investigations or judicial outcomes. It can also foster unnecessary fear or bias within communities. In an age where misinformation spreads rapidly, true crime creators and storytellers must act as stewards of truth, recognizing the weight their words can carry. Equally important is the need to treat all individuals in these stories, victims, suspects, most law enforcement, most families, and ourselves with dignity and respect. Again, equally important is the need to treat all individuals with dignity and respect, including ourselves. Honesty ensures that victims are not reduced to plot devices. It also protects the rights of those accused of crimes, reinforcing the foundational principle of presumed innocence until proven guilty. Honest storytelling preserves the humanity of all involved, resisting the temptation to turn any tragedy into a spectacle. For the creators themselves, honesty reflects moral and professional integrity. True crime storytelling requires access to sensitive information and often involves engaging with very vulnerable individuals. This level of responsibility demands a commitment to ethical standards, including thorough fact checking, fair representation, and transparency with audiences. When mistakes occur, as they sometimes will, ethical creators acknowledge and correct them rather than burying the truth and shirking responsibility. Again, for those in the back, for those creators who need to hear it in the back. When mistakes occur, as they sometimes will, ethical creators acknowledge and correct them rather than burying the truth and shirking responsibility. This level of accountability not only strengthens the credibility, but also upholds the dignity of the genre itself. In the end, genuine honesty is what separates responsible true crime storytelling from exploitative content. It transforms the genre from mere entertainment into a meaningful platform for truth, justice, and social awareness. When storytellers prioritize truth over sensationalism or clout, they contribute to a more informed public and a more ethical media landscape, and vice versa. Actually, let me read the vice versa for you. When storytellers fail to prioritize truth over sensationalism or clout, they contribute to a less informed public and a less ethical media landscape. In a genre built on real human suffering, integrity must always come first. The lives and stories behind every case deserve nothing less. This is all why I took such offense at the bad behavior I observed from the Mean Girls, especially considering the already sullied reputation of their previous incarnation, the Due Process Gang. The following are some examples of the blatant dishonesty, both directly and in how these individuals attempted to spin the narrative after being caught. Here I will use the example of the March 12th, 2024 posting of the video, which is alleged to be the original Liberty German video that this group attempted to do anonymously, ironically on a page titled Transparency, then pivoting to blame the original defense team. And here, we're not going to go through this, but this is all here for you. Here you see I go and present some evidence in the form of screenshots and statements. I say Luke Cohen outright lying about his ties to the website and the video release until it was clear that he had been caught. Okay. Then I produce some Reddit screenshots. And I say, Alan Prickman, a close associate, comes in with the ultimate save, narrative control. Meet the man behind Rick's site after Luke and others were repeatedly publicly called out. And then this is where a paywall exists. So this is the section for paid members only here, for the paid subscribers, which is what is here below. You see that there's some more Reddit here. You should go look at it. It says another example of the same, less obvious, more balanced, but too little, too late for the type of truth and transparency this community deserves around such an important issue. Okay. And then there are more receipts here, and you'll see what a lot of this are some various statements. And I say the Due Process Gang Mean Girls Club dancing around the basic truth that I put forward, and that it was exactly them who were behind the leak of the quote-unquote Liberty German video. And there's more, but I won't go through more, but I'll read this this paragraph for you here. It says, what happens when you operate in a community that requires trust, altruism, responsibility, respect, ethics, and moral integrity, yet you don't adhere to any of those principles? What happens when you choose to respond to valid questions with slander, bullying, doxing, threats, intimidation, and gang stalking instead of the simple truth? Have you all become like the very monsters you portray yourselves as intent on exposing? It's very telling that as of this date, no solid answers at all have been provided on the details of this release, neither by the individuals responsible for posting it, those who facilitated and planned it, or the attorneys who they all chose to cast blame. Exactly zero transparency. For that reason, I posed the following questions. Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Ninja. All right. So, first of all, thank you, Ninja, Warrior, Assassin. We're also glad for you. We're really happy for you there. Um, where am I? Jeez. Here's what I'll say. Honestly, I'm like 2 weeks behind. I'm 2 weeks. Jeez, I can't even speak. I'm honestly 2 weeks behind on a lot of things because for reasons I won't go into, I've been extremely preoccupied the past 2 weeks with a lot of things that I'm taking care of. And I'm sure it's pretty clear to you guys I haven't looked my best either for the past couple months. Okay. So, mm, so there are a lot of things that I have not addressed yet. Okay. There are a lot of things that I have not addressed yet in the past 2 weeks. So 2 weeks have flown by, and there are things that I failed to address, and some things I will not address, but some things I will. Like right now, one of those things that have transpired in the past 2 weeks that I have not yet addressed is that case by case took it upon themselves to do a 4.5 hour members only live stream talking piles of shit on yours truly and also Christine and Erica. Um, I don't know why that channel thinks that they can put something behind a paywall and no one will listen to it. Listen, I don't want to listen to your channel, but I did give up the $1.99 or whatever it was to subscribe to your channel so that I could go watch your 4.5 hour live stream uh, that was solely existent in order to talk shit on myself, Christine, and Erica. Okay, we did watch it. Okay, we all got it. We all bought your memberships. I also observed your previous live stream in which you also chose to talk shit. So I find it pretty odd that you're kind of a case in point for what I was just reading about. You don't fact check any of your material. Half the material you present is completely, grossly erroneous, misinformation, disinformation. Some of it I know it to be false because it's it's material I had already fact checked, and you're presenting as if it's fact. That's terrible. But then to go above and beyond to slander, um, and the fact that you choose to do 4 hour live streams, it's pretty disgusting. Why would you call uh, to call those ladies a bitch? Listen, I know one thing. Not once have I seen either of those ladies refer to any of you as bitches. So it's pretty nasty that you ladies would choose to refer to these ladies as bitches. Um, I'll be addressing more of that later, but you're very nasty. And the thing about this, I notice it's a Mean Girls thing. Okay, you really want to hate and blame myself, Christine, and Erica, and it's a really sad thing. I mean, as if we don't already have the prosecution to deal with. It seems like many of you have forgotten. Okay, many of you have forgotten. I've said so many times, all of that heat you got for us should be directed squarely upon Nicholas McClellan, Fran Gull, um, I don't know, Troll Farm, Delphi Police, Carroll County Sheriffs, Indiana State Police. All of that rage, all of that frustration. Let's be clear here. I've said many times before, there's a lot of frustration and rage in this community because of the injustice of it all. Let's be reminding ourselves here. First and foremost, to this day, they're the two victims of the crime, Abby and Libby. It's a traumatizing crime, isn't it? There's all of the trauma of that. And so there's reasons for you to have bad feelings inside. But let me ask you, is projecting those bad feelings onto people out in the community going to do anything to bring those two girls back? Is it going to do anything to honor their names? I mean, the bottom line is it won't. But it will destroy lives. It will destroy those lives of those that you project that anger, that fear, that frustration, and that rage onto. Then there's the anger and frustration at the family for apparently lying all these years, which what family does that unless they have something to hide? There's a frustration at Doug Carter, the Indiana State Police, the frustration at the local PD, at the sheriffs, at the task force. I have frustrations at the FBI myself. There's a whole lot of frustration to go around in this community. Why are you ruining lives? There's some of us who are still here. What should happen if one of us should end up like Cosmo? After being abused, called bitches, losers, liars. How will you feel then? You need to take all of that rage and ball it up and direct it in one direction. That's the prosecution. It's prosecution shills. Look at the troll farm. Look at the people who are constantly threatening us. I literally woke up the other day to an ass, a hairy, stanky, smelly, fat ass in my email inbox. My phone continuously rings from unknown numbers who want to harass and leave threatening messages. Life is too precious. Life is too precious for all of this. And I think that's part of the problem here is you people don't understand the preciousness of life or your own, that you would waste your time causing what you cause in this community. So I've made some decisions about how I'm going to handle some things. Um, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to do the things that I'm going to do that I choose to do. And the thing is, no one's going to do anything about that, okay, to stop it. I'm going to do what I want to do regardless. And so, really, your energies would be better spent, say, like fact checking before you release information. Um, Maybe doing less talking and more listening. Maybe holding the state of Indiana and the prosecution shills and the troll farm accountable. Like I said, there's so much in the past 2 weeks that I want to comment on, but I just haven't had the time. Um, you'll be seeing some of my responses to things, but anyway, I feel like that's about all I got. Okay, that's about all I got because I wanted to just say what I wanted to say, and I've said what I had to say, and so what do I say now? I say please go back, watch some of the older content. Um, I have this to say. I have several guests in the next weeks that I am intending to have on to broaden the discussion. Um, I like to say that I really more than anything, since Cosmo's passing, I really thought about this chat, and I thought about what this chat meant to her. And I'm not going to say much about it, but you know, poor Cosmo was going through some things, and I thought about it, and I thought how our chats fit into her life. And I thought, you know what? The chat, our chat, is a good thing because it was a good thing in her life. And she let me know our chat was a good thing in her life. It was an escape for her and a safe space. Okay, so it's given me a newfound appreciation for our chat and our little community here. Okay, you all mean the world to each other and to me, and you meant the world to her. It was a safe, loving um, distraction. And so let it be that. And um, and so my appreciation for it has grown. And and anyhow, like I said, I would anyone who wants to have a monthly membership or some type of thing like that engage with my whole existence, please go do it at Substack rather than anywhere else because I would like to interact more separately over there. So as we move forward, I guess I'll say this too. You're familiar with how I used to use the community page here quite a bit. Well, I'll be using it less because what I decided is that I'm moving that whole endeavor over to Substack. Maybe someone could post it again for the new people in chat, but I'm going to move my whole community posting endeavor over to Substack, and I'm going to keep the live streams here. So if you want to be a part of something, which, with the membership, go do it at the Substack is my point, because I'll be doing all my posting and my writing over there as opposed to YouTube community wall, which you've been accustomed to the past couple of years. Anyhow, so I do appreciate it very much. Okay, now let's see. Where's my mouse? Thank you, Miss K. All right, so thank you, Christine, and welcome. And thank you, Omart Newmart, and welcome. Thank you, Cromley, and welcome. 5 Green Acres, thank you. Sweet Dushibi. All right, so I'm going to get out of here is what I'm saying. I'm ready to get out of here. My voice is kind of shot, but I'm getting out of here. And I'll see you all, if not tomorrow, Friday. So hopefully we'll see you Friday. Might even see you before then. We don't know. But thank you to everybody. So good night to Cromley, Gretchen, Sweet Dude, Paula. Hey, Paula. Miss Pie Crust, Heather Brown, Nancy, Lisa, Heavy Metal, Pie Crust, Kali Yuga, Nobody Nothing, Quad, Mino Dino, Miss K, Rebecca Ann, Dom S, 5 Green Acres, whoever I've missed. If I miss you, just go jump down in the chat. What's up, Commentator Root? Let's see. Okay. Rebecca Ann. Fabby Lash, how you doing? All right. All right. So good night to everybody. Also, Heather Brown's fundraiser is still going. You guys go support Heather Brown for her endeavors, please, if you don't mind. That's Heather Brown. Go support her. If you would like to go contribute to her fundraiser, go find her fundraiser. Okay. And she said, appreciate all those who have the heart to donate. Have a blessed night. All right. Cromley, Lisa, Miss Pie Crust, Miss K. All right. Commentator, good night. Good night, 5 Green Acres. All right. And thanks to everybody for supporting the channel. So, if you're on the replay, please hit the like. Please leave a comment below. I'd appreciate the comments. Always do. And look, we're going to try to get better around here. Okay. Working on getting better. Working on doing more. So happy summer to you and happy Wednesday. It's been nice. Okay. We'll see you, like I said, tomorrow or Friday. So just look out for it. And we're out of here. Let's see if I can get this nice little one here. Let's see. Where is it?
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they're raping everybody out here. Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park.
Bruh. As an expert at being Mickey Mouse, yeah, I can say seriously, yeah. Yeah, you're right, Rick. This is some Mickey Mouse bullshit.